Some pretty massive news coming from the world of Kling. We have a new model from them, and this isn't just like a version update, this is a whole new thing. Kling have released their 01 model, and you can kind of think of it as Nano Banana, but for video. Today, I've got a full walkthrough of Kling 01, and I gotta say, there's a lot you can do with this. It's pretty exciting. All right, let's hop in. So just as a quick FYI, I did partner with Kling for early access for this video, but I mean, overall, think of it as a first look and tutorial of all the things you can do with 01 because, well, again, it's a lot. Kling is touting 01 as the first unified multimodal video model. Think of it as Nano Banana, but for video. That said, it does also handle images. We'll touch on that as we go through this video. Overall, the idea with 01 is that, well, it does all the things. Text to video, image to video, in and out painting, stylization, transformation, I mean, on and on it goes. And it does so with a semantic understanding of, well, just about everything you throw at it. Now, the UI does differ a bit from, well, like old school Kling, which to note is all still there. But in order to use the 01 model, you'll just want to make sure that you're on this tab. So that brings you into the 01 model. This first area here will contain kind of a history of your recent outputs. Down here is, of course, your prompt area. And then on this side is, of course, your outputs. Moving down to the prompt area, we have a couple of different options. We can, of course, generate video or images here. We can obviously provide it with reference image or video elements we're going to get into in just a little bit. We also do have options for 9:16, 1:1, 16:9 duration and output amounts. There are also modules at top for elements, transformation, video reference, and frames, all of which we will be getting into. So at baseline, what we can do with this model, we're going to start very simple and ramp our way up, but we can take an image like this and give it the prompt to create a video of the woman and in this case, at image 1. So every time that you upload something, it creates a tag for it. Just entering the location and taking a seat at the bar. Generating this, we end up with an output like this. And what's important to note here is that this isn't traditional image to video in that our first frame is not our image. Actually, our first frame starts in a completely different location, showcasing an area of the location that does not exist in that initial image input. And, obviously, we're following directions. Now, as a note to that output, no native audio generating here yet, keyword being yet. But here's where things start to get really interesting, is that we can take that initial prompt and add something like a clown is working behind the bar as a bartender, the woman orders a drink. Now, why is there a clown working as a bartender? I don't know. Maybe he's working his way through clown college. The important thing here is that, everything in our initial image reference remains the same, only now we have a clown. Now the question I'm sure many of you are asking right now, what if we want a very specific clown? Well, yes, we can do so. Actually heading over to the image generation model, so switching this off of video and over to image, and just prompting for a full body photorealistic image of a clown, doing this at 9:16, we end up with this guy. Overall, I gotta say, no notes here. So to swap him out, all we have to do is hit this go to 01 to create. That'll reload our video into the prompt box. And with very simple natural language, we can just prompt change the clown in video 1. And then we're gonna load in our clown. We'll just select from history to the clown in image 1. Hit generate, and there you go. Same video output, different clown. Still can't pour a Manhattan to save his life though. Now I do wanna quickly note, again, going back to this multimodal idea, you don't have to use image inputs. We can also use video inputs. For example, taking this, real stock footage drone shot of Dodger Stadium, bringing that in and issuing the prompt to change it to sunset, we end up with this as an output, which is kind of crazy good. I mean, everything in our initial video input is still here. It's just, the time of day has now changed. So actually, one really great use case here is if you have some old VO3 outputs from back when we were all putting text on the first frame to provide direction, such as our period piece of two romantic lovers who have just discovered that they are living in a simulation.
These last few days with you have felt like I'm
living in a simulation.
I feel the same.
So now we can simply say remove the text and red neon boxes in at video 1 and end up with this as a result.
These last few days with you have felt like I'm
living in a simulation.
I feel the same. If we're prompts, I don't care. I want to marry you.
Speaking of removals, Plasmo takes this surrealist piece, which I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It does look pretty cool though. The thing is that this hand that comes out, that was actually unintended. So now utilizing using the O1 model, Plasmo can now, well, remove the hand and the output comes out as intended. We can also now change shot composition and even camera movement. For example, in this output from Ludovic the Creator, where we have this forlorn guy staring out to sea, probably wondering where his pirate lady love has vanished to. Where we can now change it to a crane over the head shot, which actually starts to feel a little bit darker. Don't do it, old timer. I'm sure she's gonna pull into port any day now. An additional use case, and this one is pretty insane, we can prompt for things that happen before or after our input video. Yeah, you heard that right. Kind of like time traveling, kinda. So given that as a theme, I had to take this shot of not Doctor Who entering, well, I mean, it's not the TARDIS, it's like, the TARDIS that you would get if you ordered it from wish.com. But if you issue the prompt based on @video1, essentially your input video, generate the previous shot and then give it some direction. In this case, it was a tracking shot of the man walking down the street towards the blue box. You end up with results like this or like this, which does, obviously represent what happens before that input video. Or as a bit of a throwback, we can take our woman in the red dress as the runaway bride from her wedding to the man in the green tuxedo, and then issue the prompt based on, well, again, @video1, generate the next shot. And apparently it's our woman in the red dress making her getaway in a, well, it looks like it'd be a pretty classic car there. Now, to be fair, this isn't exactly a one-to-one. This isn't acting like first frame, last frame. Now, this does, I don't want to say require, but it does need you to tell it what the next shot is. If left to its own devices, I mean, it'll generate something as it did here, where I left that blank. I just said, just generate the next shot. We ended up with, well, what I presume is a much happier ending for our groom. And of course, in typical AI zaniness, if you aren't kind of specific with your prompt, you could end up with an output like this, in which our runaway bride is getting into the car, which is still inside the chapel. I presume that if we generate the next scene, it's going to be the car busting through that wall. And once again, the model can do first frame, last frame as well, as showcased here by Giacomo Malamasi, and it actually has a few tricks up its sleeve. In another example by Giacomo, we can see our opening frame here, our ending frame here, and then this kind of like special effect frame in the middle, and sort of treating it like first, middle, and last frame. And again, that semantic understanding of references is really where this model shines. For example, here's a couple of input images by Mad Pencil. Putting the four of these together ends up with a video output like this. I guess kind of like one piece-ish, rock solid all the way through. And what's important here, again, all references are accounted for. Now, if we have some subjects that we know we want to continually re-reference and we want to kick up the consistency a notch, well, here is the feature that I'm probably most excited about, because we can now create our own library. If we head down to this Elements button and hit this, we'll discover a number of presets in the library, but if you head over to My Subjects, you'll be able to create your own subject that you can essentially add in any prompt. So in this case, going with this kind of animated look, we can tag it as a character, an animal, an item, costume, etc. In this case, obviously character. And then from here, we can actually bring in additional reference images. So obviously it is very handy to have the O1 image model on hand to, create different reference looks. From there, I ended up generating up another character and a location for them to be hanging out with. And then from there, I was able to generate up this animated sequence pretty quickly. And again, no sound or dialogue here, but again, you should just visually be able to tell everything that's happening here. And the important part is characters are staying consistent, location is staying consistent, everything feels pretty solid. Now, of course, I ended up training up a version of myself, and this one looks pretty rock solid. A little cranky, but AI me always seems to be a bit on the cranky side. So as far as generating up a pretty solid character model, we're gonna use channel fan favorite, Flamethrower Girl. Flamethrower Girl fans are gonna be pretty happy with the rest of this video. She appears quite a bit. So just, bringing that in and loading her in as an image reference, was able to very quickly generate up a full body shot of her. Simply the prompt of create a full body shot of the woman in our reference image, standing against a neutral studio backdrop. Of course, we did have the flamethrower there, and because I knew baking that into the reference that could cause issues down the line, I just simply ran it again with remove the flamethrower. From there, I ended up creating a close-up of her face, as well as a side profile shot. And once you have everything loaded in, I actually don't have to do this because I've already created her. Once again, we just simply name her. And then there's a description down here. You don't have to get too crazy about this. In fact, actually, you can just hit the auto button and it does a pretty good job of describing your character. After that's done, you just simply hit generate. So now we can take this, I guess, like kind of like Joan of Arc inspired output that we ran a little while back, and now have Flamethrower Girl time travel back to the medieval era simply by issuing the prompt, replace the character in video 1 with Flame Girl. Now, one thing I do have to note is that, you know, sometimes when you're just doing a character swap like this, the colors do seem a little bit off, so you might have to bring it in and do some like color correction on it. It doesn't always happen. In fact, actually, we're going to take a look at sort of a solution on that in just a minute. The model does seem to handle multiple characters from your library pretty well. Again, since I'm already there, I get to hang out with Flamethrower Girl. I guess we're on the case to find her missing flamethrower. I gotta say, I am really impressed with how good the character modeling is here, even though like this is kind of a weirder output. This was supposed to be us discovering a mysterious symbol written on the wall. I mean, that really does look like Flamethrower Girl. That really does look like me. So the whole thing kind of comes off as like we're the most odd couple on The Amazing Race ever. Now, one thing I did discover that I think plays a pretty big part is location referencing. For example, in this prompt, I did not provide a location image reference. I just said that we are standing on a busy Shanghai street. However, by providing this image as an image reference and then rerunning that same prompt, only this time calling out, I think it was like at image 3 as the location, we end up with this as an output, which does look a lot more dynamic. You know, again, color balancing, everything, the characters actually feel like they're in the location. Camera across the board, it does seem when you're image referencing a location does seem to be a lot more dynamic as well. Overall, yeah, highly recommend image referencing a location in your video outputs. Now, one thing I did want to note in terms of character retention, Kling 01 is very good. It will occasionally kind of do things like, I kind of feel like my face gets a little bit on the squished side here. That said, I mean, overall, I do find it to be a lot better than Sora's cameo. That said, it does seem to hold a lot better with synthetic characters for whatever reason. So I ended up taking this guy, who was our guy from Planet Hell, the AI short trailer I did kind of recently. I did take him out of the orange jumpsuit that he was in and just put him into a gray t-shirt. I ended up building out a model of him for the library. We named him Tom. And I did just in general, as I ran him, found that he was less likely to drift. So I don't know if the model is just better at consistency with synthetic generated characters, or the fact that, you know, Tom there is way more handsome than I am. He's not real, but he is more handsome. So that's something I will continue experimenting with. Hey, look, our girl got her flamethrower back. Yeah, the model is actually very good at doing like these handheld tracking running shots. Yeah, that's really good. An alternate version of that prompt was this, which is my favorite, where Tom is just like about halfway through the action sequence, just like, you know what? I don't like cardio. I'm just gonna, you go on, I'll catch up. What's really exciting about this is I feel like we're barely scratching the surface of what this model is capable of. Pushing things just a bit further with this Sora animated output.
What happened to the world? I don't know. But whatever did this, it's still out there.
I brought that into the 01 image model and had it turn it into live action. It did miss some stuff, like the backpack here and this guy's outfit still looks a little bit on the animated side, but I actually kind of like that as like sort of a weird hybrid look. So restylizing that output, we ended up with this, which, I mean, it actually holds together pretty well. But at the end, the giant Cthulhu monster up there wasn't that impressive to me. So I was really curious to see if Kling would be able to handle this image, not as a last frame, but rather as a reference to something that appears, you know, after the camera has tilted up. To be honest, I really wasn't sure if it was going to work, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, Kling 01 ended up coming through for me in a pretty big way. So yeah, overall, this is a hugely exciting model, and it is only launch day, so as the old saying goes, this is the worst it'll ever be. I'm really excited to see what you all discover about Kling 01. Do let me know any discoveries that you make in the comments. In the meantime, I thank you for watching. My name is Tim.